Hi, Rhea. Sorry for the long wait. I just work
That's
on
okay.
logistic. It's nice to see you back for a while, right? Since in last year we didn't talk.
Yes, it's been a long time, but I'm excited to see you. And you're doing such a great job. So I love seeing your posts.
Yeah, me too, Ria. I just so we can get started now. If that's all right, we can get started. I'm recording the podcast. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new series of my jobs to share about the insights and success stories in tech hiring. That is called Asia Talks, Journey to Success, which promise to be an enlightening discussion, shedding light on strategies in securing top tech talent quickly and effectively. And in today's second episode, I'd like to introduce a very special guest speaker who has a strong background and diverse experience working on talent management in the tech industry. Let me introduce Mrs. Rhea Shyamkant, a highly accomplished human resource general manager at Next Green Group, who has some experience collaborating with us in the past on exceptional case on lightning fast tech hiring. Hi, Rhea. Thanks for joining us today. How's everything
Hi,
been?
Mai. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. And what a fantastic intro. I'm excited to be here.
All right, it's so nice to hear about that, Priya. And thanks again for being here today. I believe that your experience and insights would be valuable materials for all tech startups out there, especially those who are struggling with hiring tech talents. So before getting started, I'd love to congrats on launching the podcast called That People Great. I myself have heard and have listened to it thoroughly. That's so impressive with your unique insights, and not only in human resources overall, but also I'm very impressed by the applications of AI and data into human resources. And I've heard that the latest episode about predictive analytics on Asia, which can apply on forecasting turnover and hiring needs. And as you have mentioned, Asia professionals can utilize predictive models to determine an organization's hiring needs by considering factors such as company growth, historical hiring patterns. And would you mind introducing a little bit about your background and sharing when it comes to tech startup, which may lack a robust hiring background, which pattern can be used instead to define the hiring needs?
Yeah, sure. So I'll give you a bit of my background. So my background was unique because I started in finance. So I was a business analyst. So it's very, very, I love data. I've always really relied on data for my roles in finance. But I've always loved people. So when I made the transition to HR, naturally, I wanted to look at how HR can improve using data and predictive modeling, or just any sort of modeling to give us insights into the workforce and hiring needs. So in the startup world, obviously, things move very quickly. Businesses need outcomes really quickly as well. So having data models or predictive analytics can be a useful tool and strategy to try and find hiring needs. What are the skills you're looking for? What type of candidates? How do we make that? How do we stand out? And how do we attract the right talent? Because it is so competitive hiring the right talent. So, could you clarify the question? Did I cover most of that?
Sure, Ria. Thanks for sharing the background. And I understand that the background in BA has helped a lot in turning Asia into predictive model. So the question is, when it comes to tech startups, which you have been working on, I understand they might lack a robust hiring background, right? So which pattern can be used instead to define the hiring needs of the company?
Yes. So I think I use a whole variety. So I think every company, there's different sort of tools and systems you can use. So the bare bones one is obviously trying to map out and create very specific job scopes and requirements of what the business needs. So whether it be technical capabilities, so have a look at, what are the systems the companies are using, what are the tools. So try and map out a very specific outline of the job and capture all the requirements. And once you have that, you can sort of build your own sort of brand around that. And there are a lot of multiple HR tools that we can leverage as well. So HRIS systems, where you can sort of capture the data points, put the data points in there, and then try and leverage those systems and tools to try and gain the right talent.
Got it. That is so cool, right? To apply different data tools into predictive model for Asia. Thanks for sharing, Rhea.
Yeah.
We know that you have been working with startup. You know that hiring process needs various factors, and do you think that hiring speed does matter?
Yes, absolutely. I think businesses are always trying to find the balance of quality and speed. But in a startup world, speed is necessary because businesses are moving so quickly. So the best thing I would say is to ensure that, and it's very competitive as well. So I think by understanding the role is one piece of the puzzle. I have some examples, if we look at hiring speed, you can, once you have the scope, you can also really look at building assessments. So technical assessments like HackerRank, things like that. So to cut down the shortlisting period is very important. So that's extremely important to try and see how you can try and speed up the process by ensuring that it's a technical fit, but also ensuring they're a cultural fit. So speed is a very important, but also quality is important. And by having these assessments, you're doing things at a rapid pace, but you're also ensuring quality by setting, high technical assessments and ensuring that you're hiring the right people.
That's so cool to hear, right? In a startup, besides speed, quality is important. It's more important to adapt so that we can grow fastly in a startup, right? And coming to the speed you have mentioned, can you also share any specific challenges you have encountered when it comes to hiring talents within a short time frame for startups?
Correct. So I think there are quite a few challenges. One, I guess the first challenge is, a lot of people, especially with the current movement in startup, they get a little worried to, join a startup that maybe they haven't heard of. It's an up and coming new startup. So how do you create a brand that attracts talent? So that's always been a challenge. Also competition. So you might speak to a candidate and who might have 5-6 offers. So how do you make them choose you has always been a challenge. And also ensuring that, that there are multiple people. So you're interviewing quite a lot of people in a very short period of time, ensuring that everybody's free to try and gather everyone's times together. Coordinating and booking a meeting can be quite challenging altogether. An efficient system that I have found is actually using sprint recruitment. So 2-week recruitment in 2-week sprints, which, is a very agile form of working. A lot of technical startups work in that sort of sprint model. So 2-week recruitment sprints, ensure that all the meetings are booked in 2 weeks, and then collect all the feedback and do a retro. So that's something that's very efficient in trying to manage speed in hiring.
That sounds cool, right? I know you are you have some success story with it, hiring, screening in 2 weeks and hiring in 2 weeks. And all of those tactics have proved itself, right? Fast hiring, but fast talent coming into the previous few startups you have been working with.
Yes, absolutely.
That sounds cool. And, during that challenges, I know the keys, I know the results speak for itself for us, tactics for us success, and wondering what are the key solutions or tactics that you use specifically, which results to the positive outcomes.
Yes. So I think if we can look at the example in the previous time when we engaged you, your team was, when you have a really efficient and a tight timeline, and there's probably no talent in Australia, because Australia is, had a massive tech talent shortages. I think leveraging your team we saw great results because I really particularly like MindX's models that they are training people already, and you've got a training school and you've trained people ready to go, and the speed that you were able to deliver was incredible. It not only enabled us to leverage talent in Vietnam, which in a very efficient and quick manner, but we were also able to build global teams with your support. So I think that was a really successful story for us, because I would say the speed that you worked at, it's probably in my time, I have not seen that in Australia. It's something that we can definitely work towards, but for startups, we don't have that, that sort of technical school. So partnering with businesses like yourself will help us acquire your talent and also build remote teams, which may be, cost efficient, but also very handy, and we can work at rapid pace.
That sounds cool to hear, and that sounds very interesting and excited to hear that we could be able to have you, to build not only an offshore team, but in a timely manner that you guys could adapt with the fast-growing space of the startup to get the additional support you needed to provide it to your clients as well, right?
Correct. Yes.
Sounds cool. And any, just different questions. Are there any resources or additional support provided by us, which you have mentioned, which you have not mentioned that, and such as talent pool access or expert guidance besides speed that have proven beneficial for tech startups during the hiring process?
Yes, I think what I really enjoyed is, taking the time to understand the unique business needs, because every business has different working styles, maybe different technical systems. So I remember when we were working together, we really needed a developer who had Python skills, which is a specific language that we were using in our development team. So I think understanding the business's technical frameworks, all the systems, and arranging a meeting to understand us and our needs, you were able to find successful candidates, but also creating a strong value proposition. So why do people want to work for us? Besides being a global company, what other benefits can we offer employees? And I think that's really something that you were able to capture really well and work with us. And you gave us a variety of candidates. We didn't have to choose from one or two. We had the option of speaking to 5 or 6 candidates in a very quick period, which also gave us a few options. So we could, we weren't sort of using, okay, we'll just make this candidate work. We were able to fit the best candidate right for the role.
Thank you so much, Rhea. I understand that you've said that, and I understand one perspective and one problem may have a flip side, right? And with fast hiring, I do think there's some, not only positive outcome, but trade-off as well. Do you realize any negative consequence or trade-offs when it comes to fast hiring?
Yes. I think some of the challenges is maybe, we might not pick the best candidate. So when you're hiring really fast, first is it might be a rushed process. So the hiring needs may not have been captured properly, or, you're speaking to the candidate who may not have interviewed the best, may need 50% of the job, but you really need the candidate. So you might bring them into the role. So there could be a lot of issues as well that fast hiring can have, because you're not solving the big picture problem and the long-term solution. It's a short-term solution, which I think can always put businesses in a bit of a detrimental position. So that's one of the challenges. Also, not giving the candidate a good enough experience to ask enough questions, go through multiple rounds of interviews, get to know the company well. I think even I've been guilty of having one interview with somebody and saying, hey, you got the job. And the candidate said, oh, is that it? So I think it's really important that businesses need to ensure that although they need candidates quickly, that it is definitely the right fit for them and the candidate.
Yep, I got it right. I understand what you're saying. From the very fast growing speed of the business, you need to do fast high, but in the long term, it might not be the right solution. So along the business phase and development phase of the business, it needs to be adjusted based on data, model, etc., so that we can ensure we have the efficient and decent hiring strategies for long-term growth.
Correct. And so one of the things, especially in the startup world, we've noticed is when they grow really quickly, then, if something happens and the economic climate changes, then suddenly they have to let go quite a few members. And this has happened, with big companies and startups in the US, and even in Australia, we saw a lot of redundancies. So I think it's really important for them to look at, okay, how many people do we need? How long can we stretch this and ensure that it is a long-term strategy? So you are absolutely right.
That's cool. And Rhea, just it's not necessarily related to tech startup, tech
Yeah.
hiring. If Josiah, my question is, if you were in the startup environment again, do you think you would choose that instead, or rather some huge organization who have decent hiring process, hiring system?
Yes. So I am currently also working for a renewable energy startup. So I love the startups world. I would not choose it to larger organizations, only because I love the passion, I love the energy, and I love the pace as well. I think people who are in startups, they need to wear multiple hats. They need to be quite comfortable with coming up with solutions very quickly and supporting the goals of the business. I think the privilege of the long-term business, I guess the larger businesses, is that they have time and they have a lot of layers to go through. But working in a startup is also a privilege because you need to make sure the decisions you're making are correct and it is going to be a viable solution for the business.
Yep, thank you so much, Ria. I know that too. And if I were myself, probably right now, startup is the first option. You wear a lot of hats, you do a lot of filters, like you have said, right? So you definitely would grow faster rather than in an organization where your terms, your positions, your role already got fixed.
Correct. Correct.
All right, Ria, thank you so much for sharing those questions, those answers, and probably one of my last question again is, I know you have gone through the early stage with SaaS startup, right? Especially from zero to one stage like this. Do you have any recommendation? Do you have any feedback overall for HR professionals going through these heroes like you? Any experience, any insights would be greatly appreciated.
Yes. So I think for do you mean like what in hiring the individuals? Just so I can clarify your question.
Yep. So in hiring specifically, or any general questions like recommendation or feedback or consultant, that would be great.
Yes. So I think that's a great question. So I think with any HR professionals, know when to seek assistance from other organizations and partner. I think a lot of times HR professionals take on all the challenge themselves, try to hire large teams by themselves, especially in startup worlds, it's usually lean teams, one or two people doing the work. So I think knowing when to partner with great organizations that already have a big network. So that's really important because you will be able to get a wide range of talent and you'll be able to partner with businesses like yourself to harness a larger pool of candidates. So I think that's something to remember, that they're not alone. Also really understand the hiring needs. And again, the final thing I will tell HR professionals is don't forget to give the candidate a fantastic experience, because they know other candidates. So whoever interviews with you should walk away knowing that, feeling that they had a great interview process. They felt informed, they felt excited by your mission and your journey, because that's ultimately what you're selling them. You're selling them, your concept, your SaaS startup, the great things that you're trying to accomplish, and making them feel invested in your product is really important as well.
Yep, thanks for the beautiful word. Yeah, I know we are here that in the community as a startup owner, we're not alone. You can choose to do to do it internally, or that externally you still have a lot of support from the community, right? Especially raise that up. Yep, that would be great. And the last question, I promise, right? Before
I love answering them.
Do you think that from now until the end of 2023, like fast hiring is still a pivotal pattern for tech startups?
Yes. So I think the answer to that is tech startups at the moment still are scaling rapidly. So yes, there will always be a need for speed with tech startups too, because they're scaling quickly, they have commitments, they have shareholder commitments. I think more now than ever, businesses are trying to give profits back to their shareholders, especially if they're venture backed. However, I think they're still trying to find the balance of quality. I think businesses now have realized, after seeing the wave of tech startups going up and down, that now they really need to make smart decisions, smart hiring decisions, make sure that it's, in a staged approach. So hire, some good quality candidates, make sure that they're set up, make sure that they, can set themselves up in the organizations, and then start to build sustainable teams as opposed to rapid teams.
That's cool, right? Fast hiring still is a pivotal criteria coming to fast growth of the business, right?
Yeah.
And yep. So let's discuss a little bit about the hiring trend coming to now by the end of 2023. Besides fast growing, besides fast hire, any challenges that you might see out there in the market coming to hiring?
Yes. So I think that's a great question. So I think, yes, with a lot of changes, a lot of AI at the moment, a lot of different things happening, candidates really need to ensure that they are proactive as well. So if, approach hiring. So at the moment, I think businesses are taking a little bit of a sustainable approach. So candidates need to highlight themselves. So have an active LinkedIn profile, make sure you're connecting with hiring managers, make sure you're connecting with recruitment agencies to see what the market's like. Keep Googling insights to see what the current tech startup landscape is like. So I think there will always be challenges in terms of finding the right candidates, but candidates need to take a proactive approach. If you feel like you're not getting what you want in your current role, go outside, see what else is out there, get some insights, see what companies are doing, get involved, go to any community meetups and see. So I would say candidates need to take a bit more of a proactive approach to try and reach out to organizations.
Yep, got it. As you mentioned, AI might be a huge challenge, right? Besides any other flip side like employer branding, etc. Do you think that AI could replace traditional hiring system like we are doing today? And if so, any recommendations so that AI is a substitute for hiring process, not the replacement for hiring process and for HR professionals?
Correct. So yes, so AI is revolutionizing everything that we know. However, it doesn't have the human connection that we have. So I think any companies and hiring managers still need to have that human touch point because they are the brand. They're able to give, have empathy and showcase their story and connect the people to them and their team and what they're trying to accomplish. AI is good in shortlisting, assessments, technical skills, but it cannot, show the heart of an organization. And I think for that, definitely, I don't think AI will replace HR or any roles completely. It can enhance certain things and automate a lot of things, but it will not replace the human connection.
Yep, I totally agree with you. It will add on to your current process, but it could not replace, But that being said, as HR professionals, we always need to adapt to add more values, to always accumulate more experience so that we can, grow along the growth of the business.
Correct. Yes.
All right, thank you so much, Rhea. I do think our time is going to an end a little bit. So guys, this engaging Ask Me Anything session, we had the pleasures of exploring strategies and best strategies for hiring tech talents quickly without sacrificing qualities. And our esteemed guest speaker, Ms. Rhea, she has shared valuable insights and lessons learned from her experience in tech hiring. We discussed the applications of predictive tactics in hiring needs, as well as any captivating stories of her journeys to hire the right talents within the short time frame. Rhea, thank you so much for being here and for sharing with us the valuable insights. And we hope that today's discussion, you have some time to provide some valuable insights, actionable takeaways with your own hiring endeavors. And remember that finding the right tech talents quickly doesn't have to come to the expense of quality. And by incorporating strategies approach, leveraging predictive analytics and seeking support from industry experts like MindX, you guys can achieve the hiring goals while ensuring the best fit for the organization.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Mai.
Thanks, Rhea.